Hey, it's Parker. I just wanted to start today by saying thank you to all of our subscribers. We just crossed over the 1,000 subscriber mark, which is fantastic. And we've been getting a lot of great comments and emails from them. So I wanted to share with you one of the questions I got from one of our subscribers. Hey Parker, I have a home under contract for $310,000 in Sugar Hill, Georgia. I'm asking the seller to fix three main issues with the house and provide $9,000 in closing costs. Initially thought this was a good deal, but now I'm having second thoughts, seeing that the market might shift and I may have better opportunities arise in the next 4 to 6 months. I'm living rent-free in my parents' basement currently, so I don't have to rush to buy. What are your thoughts? Okay, so when I read his comment, I'm definitely detecting a little bit of buyer's remorse, which is very, very common. Buying a house is, of course, one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. And, there's lots of reasons why people, not only regret that decision, but actually anticipate that they might regret that decision. That's one of the challenges I always run into working with buyers is there are so many choices they have to make, and they're always worried they're going to make the wrong choice. It's very stressful, especially when you get under contract and you've really committed to one property. All of a sudden you start thinking, is this the right one for me? What I'm also seeing in this comment is somebody that's trying to time the market and get the absolute best deal that they can squeeze out of it. Everything stopped for a minute when COVID hit, nothing was selling, and then all of a sudden demand just skyrocketed as people were trying to get out of the big cities and move anywhere in the suburbs or the exurbs that was a long way away from any big city. And while demand was sky high, inventory was at a dead low. Many people were hesitant to have strangers in their home because of COVID. And there was such a level of uncertainty around everything during the pandemic. All the supply chain issues. Nobody had any certainty about when anything was going to happen, if it was going to happen. It's all very unnerving. And in that kind of environment, most people will just choose to stick with what they already know. They will choose the certainty of whatever they already have, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not totally comfortable, not totally right for them, they will stick with the status quo in that kind of an environment where uncertainty is reigning. Add to that the number of homeowners that had refinanced into interest rates 3%, sometimes even lower than that. And then if you sold your house in that white-hot seller's market, suddenly you became a buyer and you had to go out and get in the scrum and compete for a new house. It was really a perfect storm there for about a year and a half, and it was very, very uncomfortable, mostly for buyers, but also for sellers. It wasn't good for anybody. Now, as interest rates have soared, there's been a big switch, and inventory is way up in Atlanta, and buyer demand is way, way down. So if you're thinking of timing the market in this environment, most people are going to default to, well, you know what, if I wait 3 to 6 months, I might get a much better deal than I'm going to get today. So here's what I said to David. David, it's very common to feel some regret when you get under contract. Out of all the millions of houses you could pick, you actually made a choice and now you start second guessing yourself. Did I pick the right one? If the house is in good shape and you feel like you're getting a good value, then you shouldn't worry. If you have more serious concerns, definitely talk with your agent. I assume you're past due diligence at this point, so it may cost you if you decide to back out. That last point is very important. Once you've cleared due diligence, you just can't walk away from a house without putting your earnest money at risk. If you're unclear how earnest money works, you can watch my short but incredibly informative video on earnest money by clicking the link at the top. The other thing I want to express here is that buying a house is really about your big picture goals. If you want to take 6 months off to go backpack around Europe, it's probably not a good idea to go ahead and buy a house. That's a great goal to have if you live with your parents and you don't have a mortgage or any other responsibilities. Yeah, grab the backpack, go to Europe. Conversely, if you're ready to settle down and start a family, then it's probably best to go ahead and buy a house and get moving forward on that goal. So there's no real perfect time to buy a house. My wife and I bought our current house 20 years ago in a very cold and rainy November when absolutely no one was looking for homes and interest rates were about 8%. We had cashed out of our fixer-upper and we were living in an apartment when the right house presented itself. When we found the right house, our realtor actually said, you do not want this house. And we said, yeah, this is actually what we want. Because it was an estate sale, it needed some work, but the price was right. We loved the location, right at the top of a hill in a great neighborhood. The bones of the house and the yard, it was just right for us. So as far as timing goes, you have to be patient and willing to wait for the right house. But honestly, when you find that house that checks 8 out of 10 boxes on your list, you've got to be very decisive and willing to move forward and kind of put those nagging doubts out of your mind. So I hope that helps. As always, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. All my contact information is in the box below. Love to talk to people, help you start planning your move to Atlanta. Thanks.